Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Monday morning. I'm feeling positive today. Obviously, massive result yesterday against West Ham, 3-0. We will be, of course, talking a little bit about that. Also, we will be talking a bit about a story that's come out about Erik ten Hag apparently demanding more money in the summer and saying that he doesn't feel like he's been sufficiently backed. So we'll, of course, be talking about that and reacting to that. Also talking a bit about Lisandro Martinez and about his injury, as well as talking about our hopes for top 4 or top 5. And also, I'll be opening up the comment section to discuss whether Ineos will keep Erik ten Hag as the manager beyond the summer. Lots and lots to get into as always. Do me one small favour, please smash a like on the video, everybody. Let's try and see 200 likes on today's show. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Doesn't cost any money. Get involved. Right. Let's talk about the game last night then a bit, shall we? Just to kind of, get things started. I was really happy with what I saw yesterday. I know some people will say, the stats say that it was a lot more close than it was, which is fair. But I think there's been so many games this season where we've had the opportunities to score and we haven't scored. There's so many games this season where they could have gone differently, but our players didn't take their chances. Now, yesterday, our players did take their chances. Rasmus Højlund scored a beautiful goal, absolutely stunning. Probably his best goal he scored for Man United so far, I would say, with Casemiro winning the ball back really aggressively, passing it to Rasmus Højlund, and then him scoring an absolutely stunning finish. The other two goals, obviously, Garnacho got a little bit lucky with the deflection on his goal. And who scored the other one? My brain's gone. Garnacho got 2, didn't he? Of course, yeah. And then Garnacho scored again at the end. So, you know what? I'm just so happy to see our young players playing for each other, because there were so many games over the last month or so. Even when we beat Newport 4-2, I came away from that game feeling pretty negative, purely because I just thought these players are greedy. They're not passing. They're not helping each other. Whereas whatever's happened since that Newport game, I don't know whether it's something Erik ten Hag said. I don't know whether it's the coaching staff. I honestly don't know what's happened, but they seem to be trying to play for one another. Rashford seems to be trying to play. There was one chance yesterday where Rashford shot, and I think he quickly realised that that wasn't what he was supposed to do. He had a shot, it went wide. Garnacho was there in a better position to score, but every other instance in yesterday's match, they were trying to find each other. They were trying to pass the ball to each other. And that moment where Mainu, Højlund and Garnacho were all sat together, I think it was after Garnacho scored, that was just, it was poetic, and it does make me confident for the future. It honestly does. Now, I know it's only one game. I know we are still 6th in the Premier League. I know that's not good enough for Manchester United. But given where we were a month ago, like when I was doing the preview for the Wolves game, I said, you do realise, everybody, if we lose to Wolves today, we'll be 11th place. We're now 6th. So you have to take these little positives as a Manchester United fan, We genuinely could have been in 11th place. But instead, we beat Wolves somewhat convincingly. Obviously, we folded a little bit in the second half, which was a bit of a shame. But the first half, incredible against Wolves. West Ham yesterday, I think we were pretty solid. I do. I think, even Harry Maguire, I think he had a great game yesterday. I think Luke Shaw, Dalot, everybody played really well yesterday. Mainu had an incredible game. Garnacho did. Rashford did. Højlund did. It was a really solid team performance. And that's what I want to see from this Manchester United team, It's a team of players. It's not, I don't want to see a team of individuals. And I think we are going in the right direction. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. How are you feeling after the game yesterday? I assume everybody's feeling happy. There might be some people who are still wanting Erik ten Hag out. Maybe you are one of them. For me, my stance has always been to back Erik ten Hag. I think he's the right man for the job. I think he can bring us forward in the right direction. And I think that, as some people have said, we did overachieve last season. Whether you like me saying that or not, we overachieved last season to finish third and to win a trophy in Erik ten Hag's first season. That was an incredible achievement. And it was a massive overachievement if you looked at where we were the season before. So just don't forget that. And the one thing I really want you to home in on, okay? The one thing that I want you to really focus on when everybody's feeling positive now, which is great. We haven't lost a game in 5 matches. That doesn't feel real to say that. Now, I know people will say, that's embarrassing to even be happy about that, but you have to take it as it comes, innit? We are where we are. We've won 4 out of the last 5 games. We haven't lost since, I think, the end of December now. But, and I mean, let me just say this, right? If you compare the last 5 games versus the 5 games before that, okay? We've won 4 and drawn 1 in the last 5. If you look before that, we lost 3, drew 1 and won 1. So things have changed massively for Manchester United. And let's go back quickly to the team we had lining up against West Ham, okay? And this will pretty much silence, I think, most of the critics of Erik ten Hag. So against West Ham a month or so ago, where we lost 2-0, playing the same side, right? We had Anthony playing, Scott McTominay playing, Wan-Bissaka playing, Cambuala playing, who I'm not going to criticise. He's only 18 years of age, but still, like, he's obviously not the level of Martinez or Varane. And we had Johnny Evans playing. We had 5 players playing against West Ham a month ago who are bench players, probably, you know? They are. Anthony's a bench player. McTominay's a bench player. Wan-Bissaka, I think, is a bench player now. Johnny Evans will go at the end of the season because he's 35 and just on a short-term deal. And Willy Cambuala, I think, has a big future, but at the moment is a rotational player. And the point I'm trying to make here is, when we were losing all of these games, you know, it's not like we had Casemiro, Martinez, Varane. Like, most of our best players were injured. And now that we actually see our best players on that pitch, it can't just be a coincidence that the results are going in the right way. You know, I think some of Erik ten Hag's criticism was a little bit unfair because, you know, would Pep Guardiola win the league with a defence of Johnny Evans and Willy Cambuala and a midfield of McTominay and Anthony? No, he wouldn't. Of course he wouldn't. Would Arteta win the league? No. I mean, he hasn't won the league anyway, but you get where I'm going with this. Like, our run of poor results before, I think, were fair in some ways because we had a poor team. We had a poor defence. Onana was putting in stinkers every single game. You had a 35-year-old Johnny Evans. And then, you know, even if you go back to the 3-0 loss to Bournemouth, which was absolutely devastating at home, okay? Again, you look at the team that started that match. You had a defence of Luke Shaw at left-sided centre-back, Harry Maguire and Reguilon at left-back, okay? None of them, apart from Luke Shaw, should probably be anywhere near the first team, right? Then in midfield, you had McTominay and Amrabat. Amrabat's literally wouldn't even be able to lace the boots of Casemiro. And then obviously you had Martial playing and Anthony. Like, the point I'm trying to make here is when the results were really, really bad, it was because 5 or 6 of our best players were missing. And I think people forget about that. You know, people think like, oh, Erik ten Hag should be winning every single game. It's Manchester United. I don't care whether, you know, people are injured. But that's just not how football works anymore. You know, every team in the Premier League is competitive. And if you're missing 5 or 6 world-class players, 5 or 6 of the players who helped us to achieve 3rd place and win a trophy last season, do you really expect us to go and win, you know, titles and beat teams when we've got realistically a poor side? And I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just giving my opinion. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you think that, you know, a defence of Luke Shaw, Maguire, Willy Cambuala and Reguilon is good enough to win the league. Maybe you do. And that's up to you, okay? Maybe you think that a midfield of McTominay and Amrabat is good enough to be challenging for the title. Then fine. But I just disagree massively. I think, you know, the team that we have on that pitch now, I think looks solid. I still don't think they're good enough to win the league. I would say they're good enough to compete for top 4. You know, if we were to restart the clock and say that every single one of the players who started yesterday is available every single game for this season, I would say we'd be in the top 4. That would be the expectation for me. But, you know, when you're lining up with people like Johnny Evans, Reguilon, who's a Tottenham reject, Amrabat, McTominay, like, these players aren't world-class players, I'm sorry. They're average players, all of them. So, yeah, I think that's kind of what I've realised in the last couple of days, that the biggest test for Erik ten Hag now is proving that he can get good results out of these players now that he has his first team. And this is when I'll start to judge him, okay? I'm not going to judge him when he's lining up with the B team because I think that's stupid. I think that's unfair. And I think you need to be sympathetic of his situation and his injury crisis. But now that his best team is available, I will judge him. And so far, he's done nothing to prove me wrong. Right, let's see what people are saying in the chat. Everyone who's just joined, please smash a like on the video. We've got over 150 people watching already. Smash a like on the video. Let's try and hit 200 likes on today's show. Alex says he's getting into good form. We'll hopefully be able to utilise a fee this summer on youth. Yeah. Alex says you got to remember Pep started to struggle without De Bruyne. Black Sheep says 2 years of no style of play. Erik ten Hag's starts are worse than Ollie, and Ollie was terrible. And some folk want us to back Erik ten Hag. The man has made too many mistakes on and off the pitch to warrant a stay. Hope he is sacked. I just think that's unnecessarily negative. Obviously, you're entitled to your opinion. That's fine. But who would you get instead? Who are you employing instead? What do you then do with all the players Erik ten Hag signed? Are you getting rid of Onana, Mount, Anthony, Martinez, Malacia, Casemiro? What, are you getting rid of everybody and starting again? Like, yeah, I'm 100% Erik ten Hag in. I think, you know, you'll get rid of Erik Ten Hag, you're bringing someone like Graham Potter, and then in 6 months you'll all be calling for Graham Potter to be sacked. You've got to back the manager. It's not, as I keep saying, guys, it can't just be a coincidence that when we're missing half of our best team, we go on a terrible run. And now that everyone's back, we've won 4 of the last 5 games. We've just beaten West Ham, who are flying. We've just beaten Wolves, who are a very, very solid side. So, yeah. I'll come back to the comment section in a minute. I'll come back to the comment section in a minute, guys. Everybody smash a like if you haven't already. Right, let's talk a little bit about... What was he going to talk about on today's show? My brain's... Yeah, we're going to talk about some comments about Erik Ten Hag apparently demanding more money. So this story is coming out this morning from... Who's it coming out from? It's coming out from Simon Mullock, who is a journalist in the UK, writes for a couple of different newspapers in the UK. He's the chief football writer, and he says that Erik Ten Hag wants answers on whether he will be given money to spend on new players after his plea to sign a striker during the January window was ignored. He says Ten Hag feels there has been a lack of consistent backing in the transfer market to reshape the squad he inherited. The thing is, right, I get where he's coming from. Obviously, we spent no money last year. We let Cristiano Ronaldo go in January, we let the greatest goal scorer of all time go. I think he got 20 goals in the Premier League. He leaves the club. We get rid of his 500-600 grand a week wages and we bring in Weghorst. So there is some strength in Erik Ten Hag's argument, you know, to go from Cristiano Ronaldo to Weghorst last season is unacceptable. For this transfer window, to get rid of Jadon Sancho, Donny van de Beek, Hannibal, who else we got rid of? Pellistri. We've got rid of like 6 or 7 players in the January window. Probably cleared 500 grand a week plus in wages. I mean, Jadon Sancho was on, I think, about 350. Donny was on about 120. Like, we've cleared probably around, 400 to 500 grand a week total in wages from getting rid of all of these players in January. And for him then not to even get anything, to remove 6 or 7 players from his squad, and then to get nothing. Like, that is bad. Of course it is. But that is also because, they gave him lots of money to begin with. We have to remember, we're in the situation we are now for multiple reasons. There's players here who've been here for too long, like Martial on 250 grand a week. There's players here who have no resale value, like Jadon Sancho, and nobody wants to buy them. And we're in loads of debt. And that's why our financial situation is the way it is. But what I will say to this is, like, we can't really blame Erik Ten Hag for, John Murta thinking that spending 100 million euros on Antony was a good bit of business. Like, that was just plain right stupid. And we just have to hope that in the summer we're ruthless. We have to hope that Omar Barada comes in and he looks at the squad and he says, you know what? Antony's been here for 2 years and he's not good enough. So either they loan him out. Do you know what, actually, right, guys? I'm going to do a poll on this because I think it's a really, really interesting talking point. But just to give you the results of the first poll of the show, the question was, will Ineos keep Ten Hag in the summer? And 78% of you think that yes, they will. And I would agree with that at this point. But obviously, if we were to lose badly to, If we were to lose badly to Aston Villa, then I'm sure people's opinions would change. But we're going to do a poll. And the question's going to be this. What is the most likely outcome for Antony? So we're going to have loan, sell, keep. Actually, no. Let's do what's the best outcome for Antony. Let's do that. And everyone who's watching back on repeat, you can get involved in the comment section. So anybody who's watching live, it's a simple question, a simple talking point. The question is, what's the best outcome for Antony? Now, I want to give a bit of context on this before people just spam sell. If we were to sell Antony now, it would be a really, really big mistake on our financials. Because as it stands at the moment, we've spent 95 million euros on him. You'd probably get 30 or 40 million back. And that would then mean that we would have probably about a 50 or 60 million loss on our books. We haven't even paid off his transfer fee yet. So say we were to sell Antony for 30 million euros in the summer, right? We would probably still owe Ajax about 50 million of the 90 we paid them. Because you do it over installments usually. So selling him now doesn't actually give us much more money. That's what you need to understand. If anything, it will actually worsen our situation. And that's why in the past, the Glazers have been known for kind of keeping hold of players because they think that on their books, if they sell if they sold Harry Maguire, who was £80 million for 20 million, like that would really, really mess up their financials. And for me, I would loan him out. I think loaning him out would be the best option at this stage. I think there is a player there. At the moment, he's not good enough for Manchester United. At the moment, he's getting benched by a 19-year-old in Garnacho, who, let's be honest, is levels above him. And for him to be 4 years older and being benched by Garnacho, like, that just sums it up for me. He's 4 years further in his development and he's not even, getting on the pitch. He's got quite a long contract as well, we have to remember. He's got 3 more years left of his contract and then the option for a further year. So for me personally, with Anthony in the summer, I would just loan him out. I think that would be the best option. Send him out on loan, maybe to another Premier League club, maybe to someone kind of towards the bottom of the table. Maybe like an Everton. I could see him going somewhere like Everton, loan him out, get them to pay as much of his wages as possible, and then hope that he does well. If he does well, you can maybe bring him back in. If he doesn't do well, then I guess, your problem continues. But the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that saying get rid of everybody doesn't really work from a financial perspective, because otherwise you're just going to be massively in a negative loss from that specific transfer. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. So 51% of you think we should sell Anthony. Fair enough. That's you're entitled to your opinion. 35% of you think we should loan him. I'm sticking with the loan option. Right, let's go back to the story about Erik ten Hag. So the story goes on to say that Erik ten Hag's future at Manchester United could hinge on how much money he is given to spend by United in the summer. Ten Hag is unfazed by suggestions that he could be sacked, and that results over the next 4 months will decide whether Ratcliffe allows him to serve the final 12 months of his contract. I think that's something we really, really need to focus on here, okay? Manchester United, as much criticism as I give the Glazers, it was sensible for them to only give Erik ten Hag a 3-year contract. Because how long was David Moyes' contract? I mean, I'm pretty sure we're still paying him off, genuinely. Let's have a look. So when we just let this sink in for a second, right? When we got David Moyes at Manchester United after Sir Alex Ferguson left, we gave him a 6-year contract and we sacked him after, I think, 6 months. I think we did the same with Jose Mourinho. We've done it with lots and lots of managers over the years. And I think that giving Erik ten Hag a 3-year deal was one of the best things that I can commend the Glazers for. And I don't commend them for much, or whoever it was who made that decision, because it makes so much more sense to just give him a shorter deal, see how he gets on, and then if it doesn't work, we can part ways without having to lose loads of money. So the thing you guys all have to remember is that in the summer, Erik ten Hag will only have 1 year left of his contract. So it's a really, really good time to really weigh up what they want to do. The thing is that you have to remember, right? Erik ten Hag might turn around and say, you know what? It's not working for me at Manchester United. I want to leave at the end of my contract. That is a possibility. Now, I know people can't even comprehend that at the moment. Everyone's like, oh, Erik ten Hag wants to stay forever. Some people want him gone. There is a strong potential that in the summer, Erik ten Hag might turn around to Ineos. They might say, we're only going to give you 50 million this season. We're going to keep Maguire. We're going to keep McTominay. We're going to keep Wan-Bissaka. Sancho has to come back into the team. And Erik ten Hag might turn around and say, you know what? This isn't what I agreed to. I want to build a new team, my team, and I don't feel like I can do that here. There is a possibility that can happen. And there's only 1 year left of his contract. So for me personally, I would just let it run out. I just let it ride, see how it gets on. But they do obviously have a big decision to make in the summer. And if they were to let him go in the summer, I think it would be only around £7 or £8 million in compensation, which isn't much in the grand scheme of things. If you think that we sacked David Moyes after 6 months on a similar contract, so we probably owed David Moyes about 40-50 million pounds when we sacked him, which is crazy. Right, let's read out a couple of your comments quickly. Let's have a look. What are people saying? Lots of people talking about Ten Hag. Anything negative about Ten Hag, I think it's a little bit, unfair after we've just won 3-0. My stance is I want Erik ten Hag to stay. And that's kind of it, And I said that even when we were losing games. I said I want Erik ten Hag to stay. I want to see what he can do with our best team. And, now we see our best team. He's won 4 of the last 5 games. Yes, some of them haven't been 100% convincing, but we have still, started to build up a bit of momentum. We're in the next round of the FA Cup. We are only, we're only 6 points behind Tottenham, who are in the 5th place at the moment. Like, if Tottenham were to lose their next game and we win our next game, we'd only be 3 points behind them. Like, that's crazy. When you think that this time last week we were on the brink of being in the bottom half of the table. Things can change very, very quickly in football. Right, let's talk a bit about Lisandro Martinez. I've tried to stay positive for the whole of the show, but obviously we can't hide behind the fact that Martinez obviously went off with a really, really bad knee injury yesterday. Yeah, it's really, really sad. Yeah, really, really sad. But we don't know exactly. Yeah, we don't know exactly what the extent of his injury is. But Erik Ten Hag had to say this after the game, and I think that this kind of makes the situation worse because now we're just waiting. He said that the injury was very, very bad. That was his exact words. Maybe not very, very, but very bad was the words. He says Lisandro Martinez does not look good. He says very bad injury for him. We wish Martinez all the best. He says it's very bad also for the team. So I don't know what to take from that. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's the muscle in the left of his knee and he'll be out for 3.5 weeks. And I have no idea, if I'm being completely honest. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do know, what's wrong with Martinez. But for the manager, who's usually very, very hush-hush about injuries, he usually says, oh, we don't know. Oh, we can't say at this stage. Like, he doesn't really ever give anything away with injuries. So for him to come out immediately after a 3-0 victory and to say the words very bad twice, very bad for him and also very bad for the team, it does not look good. Like, yeah, I am concerned because I think Martinez is an absolute breath of fresh air in this Manchester United squad. I love Martinez. I've said to you before, he's one of, if not my favourite players. He's hungry. His frustration and his anger on the pitch, it is honestly a breath of fresh air. But I did actually want to bring this into the show and get some of you guys' opinions because I had this thought yesterday and I want to see what you guys think. Ultimately, that's what these platforms are for. It's to discuss things, isn't it? But do you think that maybe Martinez is aggressive? This is a question, all right? I don't know the answer, so I'm asking for you guys' opinions. So the question is this. Oh, in fact, you know what? I'll do a poll. So the question's going to be simple. It's going to be, does Martinez is aggressive play style make him injury prone? Okay. So anybody watching back on repeat, you can obviously get involved in the comment section. The question is this. Do you think that Martinez's aggressive play style makes him susceptible to injuries? Obviously, he flies into tackles. Sometimes when he doesn't even really need to do a tackle, he'll go in like full throttle. Do you think that that's maybe playing a part on the injuries? Because yesterday, I love the style of play that he plays, just to be clear. I wouldn't want to change that for the world. But do you think that maybe this is what's causing the injuries? I don't know the answer. It's a question, so I'm not sure either way. I just had this thought yesterday. And you know what, though? I would hate for him to play like glass half full, where he's not going into tackles because he doesn't want to get injured. And because for me, that's his best attribute. It's his aggression. It's his he doesn't care. He just flies into tackles, and I love that. It gets the crowd going. It gets me excited. But I don't know. It's really difficult because I would hate for him to have to adapt and to be like, right, I'm not going to be as aggressive anymore. I'm not going to, but I don't know. It's a difficult one. And maybe it's something we can talk about more on the shows over the coming weeks, when we find out how bad the injury is. But the fact of the matter is, guys, and there's no way around this, okay? There's no way of sugarcoating this. He got injured, I think, what was it, in the Europa League last season? He was out for 105 days. 105 days. He missed 12 games last season. This season so far, he's already missed 22 games. Bear in mind, we've only played 23 games in the Premier League. I think we played, 6 games in the Champions League, a couple of games in we've probably played maybe 35 games this season, and Martinez has missed 22 of them. So he's only been available for, I think, maybe 10 to 12 games this season. And now he's just got injured again. I don't know. It's really, really difficult. It's really difficult. But when you look at his injury record before that, over the last 4 years before he came to Manchester United, since 2019, he only missed 12 games. And that's for both Argentina and Ajax across all competitions. 12 games in 4 years. And now since he's been at Manchester United, in the space of less than a year, since April the 14th, 2023, he's missed 36 games already. And that doesn't include how many games he's going to miss now. So for in the space of 8 months, him to have missed 34 matches now, versus before he came to United, missing 13 over 4 years. I don't know. Is he trying harder? Is the competition hard? Is the level of opponent harder? I don't know. I honestly don't know. And I'm trying to work my head around it because it's frustrating because he's honestly my favourite player. Him, Garnacho, Højlund, and Mainu. Those are my 4 favourite players. And it's just going to kill me inside to see, Johnny Evans potentially back in that team. Like, Johnny Evans, fair play to him to be putting in the performances he is at the age of 35. Like that, fair play to him. You can't slag him off. He's a 35-year-old man. I mean, I'm only 29, and I'm looking at him at the age of 35 being in the centre-back position for Man United. Like, you can't really criticise him. He's obviously not good enough, but like, yeah, it's hard to slag off a 35-year-old man who's still playing at Man United. Like, that's pretty crazy. Al says maybe it's just because he's getting older. Mate, he's only 26. Like, he's still very, very young. 26 is not old. Stephanie says yesterday was just a freak injury. Just hope he wasn't rushed back too soon. I agree with you there, Stephanie, 100%. Right? I agree with you, but this is what I'm kind of saying. Does him rushing into tackles, does him flying into tackles mean there's going to be more freak injury? Surely if you looked at the stats, it would be. If there was a defender who's more composed, more kind of, I don't know, a bit more safe in the way they play, which I wouldn't like. I find that boring. I think it's boring when a centre-back doesn't show signs of aggression. And obviously if it's done well, if they're getting red cards every game, that's not great, is it? But yeah, I love Martinez. He's my favourite player. And when he went down yesterday and I could see him in pain, honestly, it killed me inside. It did. Like, I absolutely love him. But yeah, we'll obviously keep you updated on, the Martinez situation. And I'll keep you updated on all of those things. But the headline is Ten Hag has said it looks bad. Hopefully, he does a scan today and he's all right. But I think he's going to be out for a while, personally. I think he'll be out for maybe like a month or so. But that's just my opinion. Again, I'm not a medical professional. I just think they'll be very, very taking precautions. But yeah, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I will be back this evening, as always, about 6 p.m. UK time. If you have enjoyed today's show, subscribe. Like the video, doesn't cost any money. Let's try and see 200 likes on today's video. Everyone have a good day, whatever you get up to, and I'll be back at 6 o'clock.